Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today we're going to do a little bit of a first look at a brand new to market electric motorcycle from British company Maeving, and the bike is called the Maeving RM1. It retails for 4,495, so 4.5 grand for the single battery and 5.5 grand for the dual battery model. So the bike is completely British design, is assembled in Coventry. And I'm just going to go quickly through some of the features of the bike, really get my take on what I first think of it. So obviously, being an electric bike, you'll notice some key differences. There's no drive chain here, no exhaust. But aside from that, we've got some similarities with other retro motorcycles. So we've got spoked wheels up front, quite a narrow front and rear tire profile, which looks in keeping with the theme. Up front, we've got pretty standard motorcycle front forks, non-adjustable parts. If you look at the top here, you can see no adjustment options, which you wouldn't expect at this price point. At the front, you've got a single brake disc, which is fairly small. So I think that's probably a 280, maybe 260 front disc, unbranded calipers, and looks like a standard hydraulic braking system operated using the hand lever. Also to note at the front, you've got some detail on the tire, giving it a little bit of an off-road sort of scrambler look, which is really nice. If we come round here to the lights, this is really nice. Actually, you've got a single round headlight, which probably is LED. The Maeving logo is actually emblazoned there behind the lens of the headlight, which looks really nice. Probably has daytime running lights here as well, with maybe a ring LED. LED indicators, which is pretty standard these days, but also it's a nice touch. And also from the front, you can see that you've got bar end mirrors. And you don't always get bar end mirrors as standard. Some people like it, other people don't, because you're more likely to bash them and knock them off, especially in urban environments. And that is undoubtedly where this bike is aimed at. The fender or mudguard is very retro with the struts here holding on. It's not mounted to the forks as sometimes you see. And we've got a single tube here, or single down tube for the cradle frame. At the side here, we've got electrical gubbins stored here, and we've got a battery box here. Now what you do is you open this handle, the whole side opens up, you're able to take the battery in and out, and that's one of the advantages with the Maeving. The battery can be taken out of the vehicle really easily. Then you can plug it in at any standard 240 volt outlet, so you're not limited to a specialized charging infrastructure for this bike. Something else which is really nice is this sort of pseudo exhaust manifold. So you would also expect on a classic bike, maybe it to be a single, and you'd have that exhaust coming out and running down along the bottom tube of the frame. But you don't have it going down, but you do have that, and it's furnished in silver, which looks really nice. Coming back, you've got side stand, then you've got rear suspension, which is a twin spring shock affair, quite in keeping with a retro design. At the rear, single LED rear light here, LED indicators. This looks very similar to the Royal Enfield Meteor, actually, if you look at the rear end of that, compare it to this, with the single round rear light. The seat is seemingly suspended in mid-air, so I would assume that there's no suspension on the seat apart from here, so hopefully it's quite a comfortable seat. It looks really nice, it's got that sort of checked retro look, and it's got the branding in the back, which is a nice touch. Looking at the top of the tank, you can see this pops open for a storage compartment. And we'll come on to that later, what you can store in that, depending on your options for the battery. Talking of the battery and the drive, this is a Bosch hub motor. So we don't have any motor located where the traditional engine would be of a motorcycle. We've got the motor entirely focused on the hub, so you get no delay in drive, instant torque, and it also reduces the servicing, so you don't have any drive chain to need to service. Okay, so let's have a little look at the controls. If I can just navigate, let's have a look at there we go, this side of the bike. Okay, so you've got a single instrument cluster up front, and nicely, it only goes up to 50 miles an hour. Just trying to orientate it here. So yeah, the needle goes up to 50, which is nice because this bike does 45, 48 miles an hour. And if it went up to say 70, it'd be kind of misleading and annoying that you've got all of this unused space on the speedo. Then you've got the standard instrument cluster icons, so the engine management light neutral. So that suggests to me you can put the bike in neutral or drive. Maybe it has a reverse if it's a hub motor. It'd be just as easy as reversing the current. That'd be something to find out. More branding here with the logo on the top handlebar mounts, and then you've got this RM1 handwritten there, which is a really nice touch. Pretty standard levers, pretty standard grips. They could have gone for the tan to match the sink there. The sink match the seat there, but I think that might have been overkill. I think it's kind of quite nice and minimally styled. Oh, before I forget, a kind of a nice, not really functional, but an engine bash guard, I guess you would say. It's kind of just a nice detail piece they've added to the machine. Black spokes, typical crossover spokes, looks quite nice. There would be a pain to clean though. That's the only downside to spoked wheels. So just if you are considering that and you're going to be using this bike on a commute, okay, they're black, so it won't show up as much if it's dirty, but if you do clean it, it'll be a pain to clean. Let's look at some of the colors. So obviously I started on green, which is probably what I'd have, probably my favorite color, but we'll go back to the beginning. This is dark blue, which also works quite well. It looks like it's more of a satin for the blue, and the white logo there on the side, which looks quite neat. Go to blackout. So this is a gloss black in keeping with the fenders or mudguards. Silver, and they've gone for a very retro, almost a sort of gold star-esque silver there. Everything silver on against the black trim pieces and the black seat. I only just noticed that one actually has a black seat, so that is quite nice. Just the contrast there between the black and the silver. White, you return to the tan seat. White's very popular color, obviously these days. Grey, the green that we started on, and they call that sand, which looks like a combination of maybe the grey and the silver. That also looks like it's satin, and you've got the black seat again. So I don't know which one I'd go for. All quite nice. Good color options there. Well done, guys. Okay, let's scroll down, and we can see here that, as I mentioned in the intro, for a single battery, you're looking at 4.5 grand for an electric bike. And bear in mind, you're at 45 mile an hour top speed, and your range for the single battery is 40 miles. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. I mean, this is the value proposition question that we always get with motorcycles. You know, this is the investment level. It's not going to break the bank, but is this going to be limiting? Particularly if you were to use this bike outside of a very heavy urban environment. In the city, yeah, I guess it's perfect for that. But if you were to use it for maybe countryside bimbling, would that get annoying having the range being 40 or 80 miles? Okay, and talking of an 80-mile range, to achieve that, you need to equip the dual battery. So you've got one battery in here, and then a second battery then goes in the storage tank, and that actually eats into your storage for your belongings. So if you do equip dual battery, then you risk using up more of the space on the bike. What else can we say? Yeah, the battery you take out of the bike, and then you charge using a 240 volts, which is pretty nice. And they are building these bikes in the UK. They are pre-ordering now, so you've got to pay 500 quid if you do want the pre-order, and then delivery is from October. And that's a bit of a shame, actually, that they've missed the summer biking season here in the UK. But I guess if you're using it for commuting, then perhaps you're going to use it in all weathers, and so perhaps that's okay that you'll get your new bike there. Okay, so let's scroll down and look at the key features. Yeah, I mentioned the battery is removable. This is also the range very dependent on which battery you go for. You can actually buy a third battery, but the battery is £1,000. So bear that in mind if you are going to buy a battery so you can have one constantly ready to go, potentially go out for a ride. You can't store the third battery on the machine unless you have panniers, but you're able then to come home without waiting for it to charge, pop a new battery in, and off you go again. So if you do want another battery, it's £1,000. It's quite steep for a battery, isn't it? 45 mile an hour top speed, can be restricted I think to 28 mile an hour if you're 16 years old. Lightweight, I think it's under 150 kg, and of course low maintenance because you don't have a clutch. It's twist and go, just no, not even a drive chain. It'll just be the wheel hubs and battery maintenance, and obviously the braking system. You'll still have traditional pads and fluid to change there. Yeah, so their argument here is that you've got no range anxiety. You don't need to use specialized charging infrastructure. So you just take the bike home, take out the battery, plug it into either a docking station, or you can just have a little mount or foot that you put the battery onto, stand it up next to your desk, and it'll charge. So they're actually quoting a cost per year of £60 for a year's motorcycling in terms of the inverted commas fuel consumption. So that's pretty interesting actually. You know, if you can consider that electric is up at the moment, so you pay a lot for electric, but you also pay a heck of a lot for traditional oil-based fuel. So diesel and petrol is very expensive at the moment. Here's just showing that they've got quality components. Obviously, the Bosch motor there for the hub powering the rear wheel. Also, this could have looked quite unsightly, but if you noticed, the design of this, as well as it being functional, is quite aesthetically pleasing as well. So I give them good marks for that. I really like the whole design element of this bike. It's obviously a design-led engineering project, isn't it? You know, they wanted it to look a certain way, and the engineering was then made to work around that sort of optimum goal. Yeah, dual battery power, but of course, there you can see there's your storage. If you use the second battery, you're going to have less storage. This guy's not going to be able to fit his trainers and a water bottle in there if he's got a battery in there. Oh, it says electronically actuated compartments. That's nice. So you'll be able to just press a button and then this will open or shut. And that's a little feature they didn't have to add there, so I quite like that. Okay, so let's have a little bit more about why the bike, or can we look at frequently asked questions? I think that takes us to, yeah, FAQs. Okay, so you buy the bike directly from the manufacturer, they deliver it to you. Servicing is done at your house as well, so they'll come and visit you to do the servicing, which is really good. Now it does have ride modes, so you've got range, speed, and balanced. I have to say, if you do use range, you're limited to 20 miles an hour. So you'll get the full 40 or 80 miles, but it is a little bit limited in speed. And if you think 20 miles an hour, at the very most, you're going to be able to go on a 30 mile an hour single carriageway. It's very much focused on urban. If you in speed mode, then of course you can go up to 45 miles an hour, but you can't use the full range of the bike. Storage tank is 10 liters. So that isn't actually that big for the storage of the bike. All right, guys. Well, the Maeving is, again, I'm just going to summarize now with this video, a British built bike built in Coventry, £4.5 for the single battery, get you 40 miles on that. Looks great. It's nice to see some innovation really in electric motorcycles. It's nice to see electric motorcycles delivered for a much lower price point. Obviously, we know about Zero. Those bikes are like £21,000. Yes, they've got performance that'll rip your arms off, but if you're not interested in that and you still want to do your bit to save the environment, then perhaps a sort of more entry level bike might be more suitable. So I really like it. Hopefully I'll be able to get a chance to test ride this bike in the future, but let me know what you think. Let me know if you think the range and also the top speed is slightly limited, and write it down in the comments. If not, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks a lot.